Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, as we see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhollow today. What am I up to today? I recorded some Celeste earlier today, and well, it's finally happened. The final episode of Celeste has been recorded. I've done everything I believe I needed to do in Celeste. It was a really random episode. I'm gonna tell you right now. It won't be out for like a month or so, I'd imagine. But it was a very sudden ending, which I was just like, oh. I did it. And I was like, it just completely caught me off guard. But you know, that just seems to be the situation that unfolds with those sort of mechanical based games, I suppose. Hello there everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:33 PM on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. Enough to really speak of today, so we'll go about our usual business as per usual. But yeah, what I ended up talking about in that episode quite a lot was one, Disney World for a large portion of it, but also Ninja Warior and similar sort of shows. And you know, I thought I'd continue that sort of train of thought into today's Animal Crossing episode because it's an interesting thing to talk about. So basically, I can't remember exactly. Oh, you know, it's because I watched hold on, let's read this Phoebe letter. So dear, okay, I know how this looks, but I promise I'm not trying to get all mushy and anything. You mean mushy? I'm sending you pretty plants because I think they look rad and that you might think so too. And that's it. Stay rad, Phoebe. No, I was watching, I think his name is Mark Rober. He's that like sort of engineering sciencey dude who makes all these like wacky inventions for I'm not gonna say they're useless inventions. And I wouldn't put him like as a comedy science YouTuber or whatever, but like Michael Reeves. But he makes like these crazy inventions or whatever to do things, and you probably know him best from the glitter bomb thing he's doing. The glitter bomb porch pirate prank. I don't really know if you'd call it a prank per se, but the thing where like he put like a fake iPhone sort of brand like thing on his porch, and then like porch pirates would come and pick it up and steal it, and then they'd open it and it'd like be a huge glitter bomb that would like spray some like really stinky spray or whatever in my house. Obviously to deter thieves from, you know, taking random parcels sitting out on people's porches, which, you know, fair enough. a bit of vigilante justice, so I can't really comment on the legal side of it, and I won't, but it did make a certainly entertaining watch. And most of the time I watch his videos, I'm just like, wow, you know, this is just impressive stuff, you know. How you can be so creative and create such amazing things, and he's obviously very talented and that sort of thing. So I watched one of his recent episodes, and I don't think it's that recent, to be fair. I think it's like a couple of weeks old, but it was the second iteration of his squirrel feeder sort of like Ninja Warior-esque trial, I suppose, he made for squirrels. Stories goes, you should probably just watch his video if you want to know about it, but if you don't want to watch his video, in summary, he got a bird feeder because he took up bird watching, and when he got annoyed by the squirrels, always like disassembling the bird feeders and taking all the bird feeders, you know, seeds and that sort of thing, and he got quite annoying, so he made this like super ultimate contraption where he, hold on a second, all right, I'm back. Anyway, he made a little contraption where he got a load of he just made like a whole like Ninja Warior course for the schools to partake in, and once they get to the end, they get their reward of like walnuts or something. I can't quite remember. The story, I suppose, in of itself is not that intriguing, but the actual like construction that he did in the end and his recording of the results of his schools partaking in this like obstacle course was very, I'm not gonna say deadly because it's not deadly, but it was like a very strenuous obstacle course. Just one made me personally respect squirrels a lot, being like, wow, you know, squirrels are really acrobatic, I suppose. I mean, that's not too surprising, I suppose, and seeing as they spend most of their days jumping around in the trees, they very had to be reasonably acrobatic to, you know, not fall out of a tree, I suppose. But it's just like, wow, this is insane. Anyway, he did like a second version. The first version he did like however many months back, and it was he called it like a Squirrel Ninja Warrior run, and I was like, that like spurned the conversation. The second one was based around like a Mission Impossible, sort of like bank heist theme. Cool thematically, but you know. The first one I think was quite fun as well. They're both very interesting in their own rights, with the sort of like trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations a bit grandiose, I suppose. The sort of obstacles the schools had to face to get their bountiful reward at the end of a ridiculous amount of walnuts, like probably like more walnuts than they've ever seen in their entire life, I'd imagine. I don't know. I'm not sure how many walnuts an average squirrel gets through on a day-to-day basis, but I was just like, wow, you know, that's incredible. Squirrel's incredibly athletic and talented, I suppose, much more so than me. And then it got onto the topic of Ninja Warrior, which is, if you don't know, Ninja Warrior is basically the extreme human obstacle course competition. Really, really taken to extreme. You should actually go watch some episodes or like some runs if you haven't before. It is absurd. Like I used to watch it when I was younger, and I remember I used to watching it being like, I wonder how hard that really is. But nowadays, you know, obviously I'm much older when I see it with like a much more mature perspective, I suppose. You know, not a 8-year-old perspective or something. I'm just like, whoa, that stuff is impressive. Especially things like the spider climb and the salmon ladders, it's called. The spider climb is like where they have these huge like glass panels, like I think like 1.5 meters apart, but they're like really far, like an arm span apart or something, where you basically had to sort of like pinch yourself using like, you need to push against both of the glass panels on the sides, and that is the force which you need to sort of like hold yourself up, and you need to like climb like 20 meters forward or something and upwards to actually get anywhere and defeat that obstacle. That's crazy. That is ridiculous. Like I talked about like, you know, got some friends who like climbing, that sort of thing. Tried climbing for a little bit. It's not really for me. I'll be perfectly honest. And I have essentially no strength. I'm more like spectrum to flexibility and dexterity. You know, I got maybe 12 dexterity and probably about 4 strength or something. If we're going through D&D builds, and don't like verify those claims. I have legitimately no idea. But still, basically, yeah, you need a lot of strength, it turns out, for climbing. I mean, maybe you don't need like bodybuilder, like weightlifter levels, but you still need quite a lot of strength, because the amount of times you had to sort of like hang by your fingers or whatever, or just like you have very like weird grips on the rocks or whatever as you're climbing. Like, obviously, I'm not a very experienced climber, so what I'm talking about might just be utter nonsense, but that was sort of like my experience and takeaway from it was like, wow, I am just like not good at this. The only thing I was good at was like, oh, you know, you got to get your leg up on that rock. I was like, oh, I can lift my leg that high, so that's good, I guess. But yeah, anyway, the long and short of it is like, especially after doing more climbing, since, you know, my days of being a 6-year-old, I suppose, you really sort of get to appreciate how ridiculous the feats that they put up in Ninja Warrior really are. And I talked a little bit about it on the last episode. I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's in the past, because, well, literally it happened in the past. It's not going to come out until like a month in the future, so you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. But I talked about the fact that I really want to try like just doing one of those like Ninja Warrior runs, just to see how good I am. Obviously, I'm going to be terrible. I'm probably going to fall like immediately into the drink, as they call it, of the first obstacle. Sorry, as I pull up the New Horizons art wiki just to see which artworks we have are legitimate and which ones are fake. I actually think I think this one might. No, is this legitimate? The legitimate one I remember is much smaller than the actual thing. This one, in the forged painting, the boy has bangs covering his entire forehead, where the genuine one has less hair. It looks like he's got bangs on his forehead, so this one's fake. This Mona Lisa looks fake to me. This one might always be genuine, I don't remember. The forged painting has a lady taking up almost the entire thing, but the lady only takes up 2/3 of the painting with the forgery instead. Also, the forgery also looks to the left during the evening, and has a shadowy figure on the back. Okay, what about the statue? This one, the forged statue has a set of necklaces where the genuine one does not. So this is the only legitimate one, it turns out. So we'll buy it, because, you know, why not? I actually think this is a piece of art we haven't got before, so that's fantastic. The very slow process we had of getting Red to bring us new pieces of art is, you know, gonna all come to an end on 5th November when the update comes, and we can actually get Red to visit every single day, I assume. Just on a Nook My Line. No, is that Photopia, isn't it? That is going to be fantastic. But yeah, I really want to try just like doing one of the Ninja Warrior sort of runs. And now I think about it, there are situations sometimes where they come and like visit like random cities or whatever, and they bring like the whole Ninja Warrior course, and then like people can from the stands can sort of like hop in and give it a go for fun. Obviously, I imagine you like sign a waiver or something, being like, oh, if I get seriously maimed or injured, and that's, you know, that's me being dumb instead of, well, not being me dumb, I'm not gonna like see you or something. And I definitely have. I'm not like that non-self-aware that I don't think I would go on the course and just like ace it. I would probably go on the course. Maybe I could do the first obstacle, depending on what the first obstacle is. If it's a one where it's like those 6 slopes or whatever, and you sort of like run back and forth with them, I think I possibly could do that. I don't think I could do it like a way it's intended, where you sort of like run back and forth, but I think I could jump on one and hop to the other, like slowly and surely. But there's not a chance I would do like any of the other ones, because there's some of them, like one of them, isn't it, there's like this giant like cylinder just hanging, and you had to grab on, somehow hold onto a cylinder with no grips, and it sort of like rotates and like slides down a rail, and it like jerks about, and you had to like hold on the entire way until you like reach safety. That seems like impossible, but people do it. And also, there's like different Ninja Warriors depending on, like, there's like the super serious Ninja Warrior and the less serious Ninja Warrior, I think. I don't actually know if that's true or not or whatever. But like the Ninja Warrior things are like crazy, some of them. Like for Salamander, actually I think that might be a stage 2 obstacle. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, what fish is this? Sea bass. Sea bass, that's actually quite doable. If you get the fishing mission. The Salamander, if you don't know, is basically you have to hold on to like this iron bar. It's like, and I assume it's like only a couple of maybe like 5 to 8 centimeters in diameter or something. It's using this iron bar, and this is basically your method of transport. You had to like hold onto the iron bar the entire time, sort of fling it about with your entire body to sort of like hop up rungs of a ladder or like across big gaps and stuff like that. It is insane, to be perfectly honest. But of course, watching it as a child, you don't really think of it being insane. You sort of look at it and be like, oh, I can do that. You know, how hard could it be? You just like moving about on a bar or something. Obviously, you know, childish ignorance, you can sort of forgive yourself for thinking that way, you know. Especially when you're a child, I feel like it's quite common to see something and be like, oh, I can just do that. Like, I can see how they do it. But, you know, actually performing something is quite different from actually understanding, or like not even understanding, just knowing the technique that they use to perform it in the first place. So the salmon ladder is insane. We've got other even more insane things as well. Like even the first stage obstacles, some of them are like weird. Although some of them I feel like maybe I could do that. One of them is like a trampoline into like a hanging net, and part of me, like, I conceptually understand all of the Ninja Warrior obstacles are ridiculously difficult. You actually have to be pretty damn fit to be able to even perform them even remotely well. But that like little part of my brain is just like, see some of them, and some of them I remember, I'm just like, I bet I could do that. Even though all sensibilities in my mind are just like, you obviously couldn't. There's like 0% chance you could pull any of those off, because those are far harder than you're giving them credit for. But still, just a little thing in the back of my mind is just like, I think you could do it. And what I'm thinking about, especially, which it always comes up with, wait, hold on, that wasn't a valid sentence. But the one especially which I'm thinking about, which came up into my mind, is the one where they sort of like run, they spring off like this mini trampoline. There's like a springboard trampoline, which you sometimes use for gymnastics. I actually think you use it for training for things like the vault and other things which require a springboard. At least that's what I've used it for in the past. And you basically jump about, and you had to grab out onto like a hanging net or something. And the hanging net is like, in essence, most things aren't too that. What? Most things aren't all that difficult, I suppose, by themselves. Like the trampoline, as I say before, it's something I've used to like. Oh, Rowan, you're ill. Let's go get you some medicine. Let's go practice medicine. It's a thing that like you use. Well, I used before in like a gymnastics class or gymnastics club, I suppose. When I used to do it, and it used to be sort of like a trainee, a walk into being able to use a springboard, from what I remember. So it's not all too bad. It's obviously not as springy as it's pretty springy. I'm going to be honest, but it's not as like it's probably less springy than you might imagine necessarily. But it's still got a reasonable amount of spring with it, you know. That sort of just screams to me. If I just sort of like yeet myself as fast as possible and like land a full both feet in the center of a trampoline with a lot of horizontal forward momentum, I could spring myself forward and catch onto that net. I mean, those hanging nets are like a staple in like climbing frames all across the UK, well, maybe all across the world or something, in playgrounds, isn't it? Quite common to have like this sort of this like mesh rope, I suppose, all tied together into like this hanging net up to the top of like the big climbing frame sort of main part, I suppose is what you might call it. Phoebe, stop fishing! Let me give you a present. Okay, she's not fishing yet. She's not going to stop, so we'll give Tank his present first. Yeah, but that's just like a sort of thing you have in a playground. And if anything, the playground ones are even worse, because rather than being built out of like some sturdy rope, which, you know, actually like good climbing rope were made out of like strong fibres or whatever, the ones in my playground are always made out of like these weird plastic, like wiry things, which feel terrible on your hands. Like you climb on them for a little bit and they give you like cuts and burns all over. At least that's the one we had back in our primary school climbing frame. It was terrible. And also, it was even weirder because our primary school climbing frame. Okay, imagine it was just like it wasn't literally a cargo box. It was like a wooden cargo box, I suppose, but that sort of shape on top of like wooden stilts. And on one, the only way you can get up is on one side is like this wooden, really long horizontal ladder, which only had like 3 rungs in it. So each like rung was like 60 centimeters, or that's probably too little. Like 80 to a meter. Centimeters to a meter apart from each other. But annoyingly, like if you imagine the cargo box, the ladder was sort of just like slightly underneath the cargo box. It wasn't like in line with the edge of it, so you can like sort of climb freely up and get to the top. It was slightly underneath it, so when you got to the top, you sort of had to do this like weird under climb, while you sort of like clamber on top of it. Like you like had to climb over an overhang, if that makes sense. It was the most nonsensical thing, and I can't like. And the worst part was, it was only that way because they put this huge, like, wooden log, I suppose, at the top, which created this overhang in the first place. Which I assume it was meant to be the final rung of a ladder, except for you can't grab onto it because it's just, like, flush with the floor at the top of... Sorry, I'm going off here on my, my primary school climbing frame. It was just flush with the floor of the top of the climbing frame. The floor, sorry, the top part of the cargo hold, I suppose, of a climbing frame, which made it incredibly difficult to like get anywhere over it. So like every time you climbed up, it was incredibly difficult, and it was really quite an arduous task in the first place. And even worse, getting down was even harder because now you had to climb down over, like underneath an overhang. So you sort of just had to like trust in yourself. So yeah, that was one way to go up, and you were like, oh, okay, wasn't there another way to go up? Yeah, there was another way to go up, and it was one of those hanging rope nets or whatever. Now, the problem is, in theory, not a bad idea. If you know it had a rather taut rope net, you can sort of just like clamber your way up. If you had one of those like strong, like reinforced ropes or whatever. We need to catch some... No, we need to water plants, and we need to buy some flowers. Those reinforced... You know the ones I'm thinking about, like those blue cables or whatever, which you see in modern day playgrounds or whatever. No, these was like some green plastic ropes or whatever, which... Again, we're not taut, so they sagged, I assume because, you know, many cumulative hours of kids climbing up this, like, rope net, which sagged and pulled down on the mesh netting of it, I suppose, which made it sag. And again, it went underneath the cargo frame. It hung underneath the cargo frame. So when you climbed up, you were basically now climbing up a rope ladder, which pushed against you as you tried to climb up underneath the underhang. It was the worst experience. It was so difficult getting up and getting down. So yeah, it was me absolutely just roasting my old primary school climbing frame. To be fair, that was the old one. We got a new one later, apparently. Not apparently, in like my final years or something. At that school. Oh, we didn't get some wrapping paper. Oh, we didn't get medicine. I'm a fool. Okay, well we'll go back and get some wrapping paper and some medicine. Actually, there was a third way to get up, and third way was you had to walk across the top of the monkey bars to get to the top, which is something I feel like a reasonable amount of people did. Most of the times I just went by the net way, because, you know, I figure, even the fact that climbing up the net is harder, because it's like climbing up a rope ladder, which is pushing, even, like, as you try and climb up, it pushes further underneath the underhang. I don't know if I described this very well, but you can even picture what I'm saying, but, like, falling from the rope net ladder part means you sort of, like, fall into a net, you know, that's not that bad. I mean, it's quite scratchy, and it's, you know, not going to feel great because it wasn't designed to catch people falling. But it could be worse. Like, if you fall off the other side, you just fall to the ground. So, even though we had like a load of mulch-ish like bark to catch your fall, that's not great. You know, like no fall is that great unless you're falling into like foamy, mattressy stuff that they have as gyms. You know, those like foam cubes or whatever they put in those giant pits. That's fun to fall into. But yeah, no, that's much less common than falling just straight onto the ground. But yeah, sorry, I got extremely distracted with this entire tirade from our sort of thing. But if anything, on climbing frame is kind of like a training place for kids to really hone their Ninja Warrior skills. Because I also commented about this in this last episode, is the fact there's like a kids version of Ninja Warrior, which I always find like, surely that's not a good idea? Not because like kids shouldn't have fun with this sort of thing, but like legally isn't that a bad idea? like adults can sign waivers being like, oh, you know, if I get injured I'm not going to sue or whatever, but like kids signing waivers, I don't know, it feels weird in my mind. I'm also not a lawyer, so maybe it holds no ground, I suppose, in the end, but it just feels weird to me. But anyway, to be fair, the obstacles are, you know, much more diluted down. Still impressive for a kid to do, but probably most of the kids are better than what I could do. Which I don't know if that's a scary or a sad thought, but, well, it's a thought, I suppose, in the end. Maybe that's where I should start. I should start like seeing if I can even do the kids Ninja Warrior thing. But anyway, I haven't even talked about the most infamous Ninja Warrior obstacle of all, which is the warped wall or the vertical wall. I don't know, there's two different ones. I don't know why they have two of the same thing, or run up a wall. One of them is called the warped wall, and one of them is called just like the wall. It's like, you know, you kind of proved your point if you can run up the vertical wall at the end. Why do you need a warped wall to like lead up into it? It's sort of like, oh, let's put like a, I don't know. Let's put like a meter high jump, okay? If you can do that, okay, the next obstacle is a meter and a half jump. It's like, why do you need to put that meter jump in the first place? I guess it's like a warm up, but surely you don't want everyone to just like tackle the warp wall and then like run out of stamina. They can't even do the tall wall. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't actually know. Anyway, that is insane. Like the actual warp wall. It's again one of those things which I think is deceptively hard. As a kid, you sort of be like, oh, you know, you just cartoon physics. Of course, you can just run up a wall if you just like go at it from full speed. But you really need, like, you really got to fully send, got to fully commit to it the entire way. And it's also like you got to keep your footing and like the momentum you got somehow on a vertical surface. How do you do that? I don't know. I ain't a Ninja Warrior. Look at me. Well, you can't see me, but it's like imagine what I look like. Not a Ninja Warrior, I must say. But yeah, but a long and short of it, I guess, is I'm not a Ninja Warrior, and our primary school climbing frame was not great. Also got primary school climbing frame, got splinters from it. It's terrible. Not many, mind you, I only got like 2, but you know, 2 is more than 0. That's too many, maybe. And the worst part is one of the splinters I got from it wasn't even from the climbing frame, it was from the border around the climbing frame, because we obviously had like this mulchy pit filled with like these bark chips, I suppose, to try and prevent people from seriously injuring yourself if they fall off from a height. But I remember only like year 6s or something could play on the climbing frame or something, and sometimes year 5s could on certain days, I think. But when I was in year 2, I was sort of just like hanging out by the area, and you know, I accidentally like fell over and kneed the border part of the mulch pit, I suppose. And mulch pit's not really the right word for it, but and then like a splinter got like lodged into my knee. No, I didn't mean to pick that up. That was terrible. It was terrifying. It was not terrifying, but it hurt. You know, never got that splinter out again, by the way. So it's sort of, I guess it's just kind of made its peace somewhere in my knee, in my right knee. Is that how splinters work? I'd imagine your body sort of works splinters out somehow eventually. I don't really know how the logistics of that sort of thing works, but I got to assume they do. It's almost kind of scary if they don't. Now I think about it, why do I always give the presents left to right? Why don't I give them right to left so I don't have to readjust my inventory every time? I don't know why I've never thought about that before. Like, why wouldn't I give the Diplotail one away first? I feel like that makes so much more sense. Oh well. Let's craft some coconut juices, and then we'll go sell the things and actually get some medicine for Rowan, so he can heal, he can revive himself. But yeah. You know what's also interesting and perhaps also deceptive is the final for Ninja Warrior is like is normally comes down to like the 3 fastest people or something, I can't remember. But the final is a 2-part thing where basically they had to ascend like, I don't know, 100 meters up in the air or something. They had to start with like a 50-meter spider climb. So again, those like glass panels which you got to push like outwards against and use that like reaction force to keep them upwards and go upwards with. And then like we had to follow it up. Or maybe they don't follow up, and maybe they start with that and go into it. I can't remember. They had to follow it up, I think, with like a 50-meter rope climb. Which I think a rope climb is also one of those deceptive things where I'm just like, you know, that's not too bad. Like, back when I used to do gymnastics, I used to climb ropes all the time. Which, you know, funny about it, because actually when I started gymnastics, I could not climb a rope at all. So, like, we'd split up into groups or whatever around similar ability or something, and we'd rotate around with different gymnastic apparatus. And then every time, I often was with like 2 of my friends who did gymnastics at the time. Every time we got to the rope climb, one of my friends was like amazing. He just climbed up like he was like a monkey, I suppose, climbing up and down. And then me, I was just like I can't do it. Like I didn't know the technique, and I didn't have the strength, the upper body strength I was supposed to pull myself up. Until one day, you know, one of the lessons, I managed to pull myself up like 5 pulls or something, and then I had to come down because I was just like, I can't do it anymore. But then I was just like, wow, that was like suddenly just randomly way better than every single one of my previous other attempts. And then the next time I had a gymnastics lesson, I could just suddenly like climb. I could just climb a rope. It was just like my brain just figured out how to do it, and I guess I reached the critical mass of how much muscle I needed in my body to just ascend the rope. I just pulled myself up, and I was like, whoa, this is what it's meant to be like. This is where I'm meant to be. I don't know. That's Hercules, but like a weird remix of it. So yeah, I guess ever since then, it's sort of not cemented in my mind, but in my mind, I guess in the back of my head, I'm just like, you know what? I wonder if that rope climb's really that hard. The obvious answer is, yeah, it is that hard because it's like 50 meters. Like, the rope I had to climb was probably about 5 meters tall. Imagine doing that 10 times in a row. As fast as you can. And also, it's probably easier when you're a kid as well, because you weigh like, I don't know, 30 kilograms to 50 kilograms. Like now I weigh, well actually I don't weigh too much more. 50 kilograms perhaps a bit heavy for like a 7-year-old child. I'm not sure. Buying medicine. But like nowadays I weigh like 60 to 70, you know, depending on when I decide to weigh myself and how much I decide to fudge the numbers. But yeah, that's significantly more weight, I suppose. So you think you need significantly more muscle or whatever. And if anything, doesn't it get worse? Because muscle is quite heavy. You know, muscle's 4 times heavier than fat, as they say. Go ahead, be shellfish. Whoa, we actually did this mission. Shellfish, shell arburator, shell arena. Those aren't words. I'm saying. If you thought those were words, I've got bad news for you, bud. Those weren't words. But yeah, because muscle is like pretty heavy, like, you know, 4 times heavier than fat. That's what they say, and you know it's probably true, and I'm not doubting the legitimacy of that fact. But yeah, surely like as you get heavier, you know, as you get older, you get taller, whatever, your bones get bigger? Question mark. You're gonna need comparatively even more muscle. But then as you need more muscle, you need even more muscle to just to counteract the fact that your muscles weigh more. Like the amount of muscles you need is more. Right? Does that make sense? I'm not sure if that made sense. I'm just saying things get, you know, you get heavier and then, you know, it sort of just like compounds upon itself. Like how do you, at some point it just becomes like diminishing returns, I suppose, and like getting weight and actually trying to climb up a rope or something. So these people who are on Ninja Warior, they're like beefy and cut. Which, you know, I'm not sure if I'm using those terms correctly, to be perfectly honest, but they are built, they're stacked. Like, climbing up a rope must be technically even harder for them in some aspects, I'd imagine. Because of, like, they probably have a certain amount of weight to them, obviously, to try and, like, bulk up. I'd imagine that's how you do it. And it's like, whoa, they had to climb a rope like that. Now, the interesting caveat with that sort of thing is it turns out climbers are really good at Ninja Warior, which I guess is because Ninja Warior has a huge focus on, like, upper body and to a certain extent core strength, I think. I'm not an expert in like this muscle groups or anything like that, so I can't really say if that's true or not. But I remember I watched this climbing YouTuber do like some videos a while back of him basically attacking Ninja Warior. Have I talked about Ninja Warior and Animal Crossing before? I suddenly just got deja vu that I have. Hold on, I need to check this Ninja. Luckily I've got YouTube Studio open. Have I not talked about ninjas before? Ninja? I haven't. Okay. Saved. Didn't repeat a conversation. Saved. Yeah, but turns out climbers are pretty good. I guess it's because they're quite used to obviously using their upper body strength and that sort of thing. They can do what's called, I believe it's called crimping, which sounds like a dance move, but it isn't. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. It doesn't even make sense, to be honest. We have 2 minutes. What can we do in 2 minutes? I think we can put stuff away. That's all we can really do. Which is basically where they hang on to something just by their fingertips. If you somehow sheer willpower alone, and the strength of their fingertips is enough to keep them up. That's just insane. And I suppose it's a thing which climbers think about often. They need to be like as strong as possible, but also carry the less weight they carry on their body, the better, right? Because then they can more efficiently like pull themselves up, carry themselves upwards, and without having to really worry about excess weight. Because they're not like bodybuilders. They're not like weightlifters where they're just like stacking on a good balance of muscle fat. Like you probably want to lean in the heavier direction if you're a weightlifter, because I don't know, isn't it like to get past a certain threshold of muscle gain, you need to just like get fat to get more muscle? I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm here playing Animal Crossing. Not to say bodybuilders couldn't play Animal Crossing, and if you are a bodybuilder who plays Animal Crossing, more power to you, to be honest. But yeah, I don't really know what I'm trying to get at with what I'm talking about in this episode. I guess Ninja Warior is pretty hard. They actually are like legitimate ninjas. Well, okay, maybe not legitimate, but like they're like as deft as ninjas. I'm not a ninja. I'm bad at that thing, and our primary school climbing frame could have been better. So I'm glad that we got a new one. Anyway, should we round this episode off here? What a more weird wild ride. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. For spending Animal Crossing New Horizons, I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord and follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.